Hey, hey, hey! So, Tiny Trucking in the Smoky Mountains. What did you think about Bronco Super Celebration 2016?
I came up here for a week-long vacation, and that didn't happen. It was Bronco nuts for, well, we've been here 7 days, and if you include the day that we got here and unload all our tiny truck stuff,
yep,
and one-to-one truck stuff, and then if you include today, the day that we're leaving is number 7, with reloading all the tiny truck stuff and the one-to-one stuff.
yeah,
It's been pretty much non-stop. We haven't done anything touristy related at all. We've been pretty much tiny trucking the whole time.
So, Rob told me when he got here that he wanted to run this Go Fast Bronco here on his vacation, but because he didn't have a vacation, it never ran yet with the body on it. So I think that was a good idea, because this thing is beautiful. It doesn't have any more scratches on it. This is a nice truck. How did this thing start?
So I'm the Bronco junkie, right? And I have 2 early Broncos, and I thought, well, let's build something that's not a scale truck. Let's build something different for me, just something that I don't have any idea how it really goes together or how it works. And of course, this body is the Pro Line short course body. It's a Bronco, but it's the big Bronco. It's like an 84 or something. It's really, really wide fenders, and I'm like, man, that's pretty cool. I know the one-to-one guys actually get fiberglass fenders for the front and back end and make them like desert trucks. So I thought, well, I've never done that before, so let's try to build something that really, really hauls butt and had long travel suspension just like the real trucks. I had no experience with that, so I got on Google and started doing Google image search of basically trophy trucks, right?
Yeah.
Right, the Traxxas trophy trucks that are just ridiculous amounts of wheel travel, and so that's what I did. And I got a whole bunch of images, and I basically started with, well, I started with a transmission. I knew I wanted it to go fast, and I didn't want a 2-speed. This is not a slow truck, so I got an SSD high ratio transmission. And then since I knew I wanted it to go fast, I've got the faster hardened axial spur or ring and pinion gears, the high ratio ring and pinion gears, front and rear. And and then since again I knew I wanted it to go fast, I've got a Holmes Hobbies 3500 kV in-runner. So this thing should be like pretty ballistic.
You had it running on what battery?
I ran it on a 3S pack, and I actually asked you if you had a 4S pack just to see what would happen. So I ran it just chassis at my house, just proof of concept. It goes forward and backwards and turns right and left, and that was it. And I posted a few just short slow motion clips on the Florida First Class Crawlers Facebook page. You can get on there and see some slow motion clips, and it basically, if it gets traction, it just does a standing wheelie, and I have a really good slow motion video of that, which is great.
It's super fun to watch.
Yeah.
So this is whose chassis is this?
That's a Lone Ranger special right there. That's all me. Started with a transmission. I built an all steel skid around the transmission. If you take note, the transmission bolt holes are crooked. They're not square. The reason for that was I went straight with the SSD trailing arms, and when I got everything together, I went, oh my gosh, these are Yeti trailing arms. A Yeti is really, really long, and I had no idea it was that long. So the only way I could get the transmission to fit with what I was working with that body was to turn the transmission at an angle. So the rear output is straight as an arrow. The front output, however, has a kick to it. Which is fine because I'm running the the GCM metalhead axles with a way offset front pumpkin, and I mean it worked out perfect. That front axle is the front drive shaft is really, really short, and it's like straight to it. I mean it worked out amazing.
Maybe we can see that in this layout. So the front is offset over here, you're saying, and that's pretty. It actually is really straight. That's amazing.
Yeah, it just worked out. And I get a lot of people look at that truck and go, dude, your transmission's not straight. I'm like, dude, it has to be that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So you put dual shocks on this.
Yep.
That's a lot of travel.
That is a lot of travel
And
for
it's
anything.
It might be the smoothest thing that I've ever seen in an RC truck right there.
That might be the most flattering thing anybody's ever told me.
This is this is totally amazing.
It's butter. It really is
it's
slick.
like
Yep.
hot melted butter.
So I've got
That is totally amazing.
the
right there.
Kyosho Velvet shocks,
Oh,
which,
yeah.
which are actually sprung, which holds the weight of the truck.
Yeah.
And then these are Losi, I think they're Losi crawler shocks, if I
Wow.
remember correctly. And yeah, it is very, very smooth.
That is amazing. And you put a dual shock setup in the front as well.
Yep. The front end is a little bit stiffer, but every bit as smooth.
It's really nice.
The front links are, I almost say they're half as short as the back links. The front links are really short. So we're talking maybe yay long, and the back trailing arms are like out here.
Yeah.
So it's one half the travel in the front end as the rear end. And if you look at a desert truck flying through the woods,
That seems to
It's
be
the same
what
thing.
they've got too.
Yep.
So you've got sway bars in the front and the back.
yep,
That ought to keep it down on the ground.
it should, but it doesn't. It should, but it doesn't. It helps for sure.
Yeah.
I had the rear sway bar loosen up on me just at the house.
Oh, yeah?
It was totally not drivable without a sway bar
Oh, wow.
at all. So they're night and day difference.
So I think stability, like sway bars, kind of goes along with high power and lots of speed.
If you're going to go fast, yeah, you better throw some sway bars on it. You don't see anybody running an axial or a scale truck with a whole lot of speed without sway bars.
That's
because
true.
you turn and then they barrel roll for like
Yeah.
100 feet.
So tell me what's going on with the steering servo. It's servo on the axle. That must work fantastic.
It's servo on the axle. Like I said, this is not a scale truck per se. And the only way that I need zero bump steer. I absolutely have to have as precision steering as I could get, so that's the way it went. I mean, that's just,
Yeah.
there's no way to get around that.
So how did you come up with the layout for the cage work and the tube work? You told me about the chassis, where you had to get the trailing arms and the lengths right, and then
Yep.
the tranny had to get situated like this. So why did you set up the cage work this way?
So step one when you build a tiny truck of any kind, right, is you have to know where your transmission and stuff is going to go. Your drivetrain. You need to know where your drivetrain's going. So on this, I knew that SSD transmission was going on a skid, so I started with the skid. I made the skid out of half-inch box steel, the same steel that I used to make a custom scale truck, and kind of boxed it in and turned it up. Again, I went to Google Images for as much of this as I could find, and when I had a skid, a standalone skid, I set it on the ground, and I took the body right over top of the skid. And then I bent up the Nerf bar section with the swoop so it matches the body, and tacked on these arms to the skid on both sides, made a match. Now then I had a skid and I had Nerf bars. After I had a skid and Nerf bars, then I could work on the rest of the cage. But I had to have the base platform. It's always based around your transmission, almost always when I build like that.
So you built that with the same kind of trick that I love using on Lexan, which is setting up the entire chassis and wheelbase and everything before you do the paint.
Way before. Yeah.
Because you can see through the shell.
You know where everything sits.
You can check it out. You can get an eyeball for it. And I mean, I do a lot of CAD work on the computer, but there's nothing at all that beats seeing it with your eye.
Proof of concept.
Really important.
Yep. And I've had this thing, a lot of this steel work up here, the cage and all the angles, tack it on, get it looking right, and you put the body on, and out comes a Dremel tool, and you cut it right off. Start over until it looks right. Because there's some sort of an art to this. It's got to look right. You know what I mean? It's still scale, it's go fast, but I mean, people look at it, and the angles, the triangles that are in here, it has to look right. It's got to look the part.
Yeah. So you've kind of, speaking of triangles, you've triangulated a whole bunch of stuff here, like the front bumper, should you have an impact in the front.
Yep.
You've got lots of stability in the back for the suspension and the sway bar mount. And then you've triangulated the side sort of sliders almost, these supports, body supports on the side. So I think it's probably bomb-proof.
You won't let me drive it, so I don't know.
Well, that's because the body's too nice. So maybe
That's
you should
true.
tell us. You should tell us about this, because there's a whole bunch of specialness went on with this. Like, I don't know if you guys can actually pick this up in the camera, but there's actually kind of a gold metal flake in the red paint.
I'm sure you
It
can't
is-
see that. It's awesome. So
It's really, really, really nice.
my good friend Matt Dexter, a lot of you flick guys, you know who Matt is. I unloaded on Matt with like 9 Bronco bodies, and I'm like, here, paint these. When you get to it. By the way, they need to be done in April when we come to Tennessee. And man, he just knocked them out of the park. If you look at some of the early Broncos, they look like Skittles, all the rainbow colors. But this thing is just old school, right? It's an old school flame paint job. But I mean, he's got all the vinyl. He cut out all the sponsor decals: GCM, Scalar Fab, Crawler Concepts, Exclusive RC, Team K&K. I mean, it looks like a race truck. It looks like a private guy owns this, works out of his garage, and he goes out to the desert with this thing on the weekend. That's what it looks like.
And it looks really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's fast just sitting there. It really does.
I kind of don't want you to drive it because I'm scared you're gonna, scratch it up.
Are you telling me you want to take it back to Canada with you?
No, I'd be scared to drive it too.
Oh, okay. Well, I know my buddy Corey Verne, he wants to do some slow motion camera shots. So we're gonna go somewhere and set up like a 50-foot section of whoops and actually hit the whoops with this truck to get the slow-mo so everybody sees the suspension cycle.
It's pretty cool.
And we're gonna really do some good photo stuff with this.
Yeah. Well, thanks for showing it off, and it's an inspiration for me to maybe start something that's a little faster myself, because of course all my trucks are really slow.
Yeah.
And every now and then it's just awesome to pull the trigger and see the rocks fly. So I think that's some inspiration for all of us.
What do they call that? Brap?
Brapping?
Brap it.
Oh yeah.
This is braptastic right here. Braptastic. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing, and
man, no problem.
Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for tons of more awesome tiny truck videos.
Tiny Trucks.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Having deep discussions about things that don't exist but should exist. So I had an awesome idea for a little gadget called a poop hoop. And so you sell the poop hoop in like 3 or 4 sizes, because some people have little tiny dogs, so you use like a little tiny poop hoop. And then some people have like bull mastiffs, so you use like a poop hoop the size of your steering wheel, right? So when the dog goes to hunch down and take a turd, you have this little thing that like magnets on the end of a golf club, and you just golf club right under his little squat tail, and he poops in the poop hoop, and you pull it out and you bag it and you're done. So Chris had the kick butt idea that you have to have an XL size, and to show how really durable the poop hoop is, you get a donkey. And so the As Seen on TV commercial says, and for this demonstration we're going to show you our ass. And the donkey picks up his tail and puts 5 pounds of shit inside of the XL poop hoop, and you're holding on with 2 hands on your golf club. And I'm telling you, it's $1 million idea, As Seen on TV. It's $19.95, buy one, get one free, shipping and handling $3.95, and we're going to make a pile of money.
What kind of pile?
A poop hoop pile of money. We'll have to build the XXL for all the money we're going to have. That's right.